In this video, we're going to talk about the best places to live in the Philippines as an expat, a foreigner. And I'm going to cover a lot of territory. I've been here almost 10 years, 3 different trips, 10 years. I've lived in 6 different condominiums. I've done, many of you know, I've done many dozens of videos about condominiums. What do they look like? What do they cost to rent, to purchase? I've done cost of living videos about medical and dental. I've got a membership site where down in the lower left-hand corner below the video, you can join if you want to support the channel. And I take deeper dives into some topics that are a little more sensitive or that take me a lot more time researching, so you can help support the channel. Anyway, let's get into this. The best places to live in the Philippines. And I am walking from the uptown area in Cebu City, and that was my choice. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the various cities, and I'll tell you a little bit about the areas within some of these cities, that if you want to kind of narrow in on some of the areas and why you might choose one area of a city over another. And I've got a little bit of experience here, and talking with other people and understanding where they live. Bed space are available, 3,500. I used to think that was a space between 2 other beds. Bed space, or you could rent the floor, but I guess just basically a small boarding house, I think. I'm going to talk about Cebu City. I'm going to talk about the Manila metropolitan area. I'm going to talk about Iloilo City, Bacolod City, Dumaguete City, Davao City, CDO, which is Cagayan de Oro on the north end of Mindanao, Baguio City, Bayawan has. There was a vlogger went there and talked about Bayawan over on Negros Island, I believe. And anyway, I'd also like to get your feedback. Where are you living? Where are you planning on living? I know many of you will choose to live wherever your girlfriend is and her family, and you'll choose to live there. And there's thousands of expats here who have built houses out in the provinces. We'll talk a little bit about province life as well. So this is going to be a little bit of an in-depth and longer video. Stick with me if you can. First off, let's talk about Cebu City, and it is a lot of people say it's the second largest city after the Manila area, the Cebu metropolitan area. It's a tri-cities. You got Cebu City, you got Mandawi City, and then across the bridge over on Mactan Island, you have Lapu-Lapu City, often referred to as the tri-cities. And you got Velez Medical Center there, Velez Hospital just a little bit more to the left. I ended up here kind of in a strange way. I was visiting my daughter in Tucson, Arizona before I first came here, and I was staying in a hotel, and there was a Filipina lady that worked behind the desk, and I was telling her I was going to go to the Philippines and I was going to go to Iloilo City. Some of you remember Philippine Mike Philippine, My Philippine Journey, I think, and he died a couple years ago. And he had said he had done all the research, and new condominiums going up there, 2 new condominiums. And he said he decided Iloilo City was the best place to live, so I was going to go to Iloilo City. Anyway, this lady at the hotel said, "No, sir, go to Cebu City." And she had grown up just north of Cebu City in Lolo, so I said, I'll do a little more research, and I can start there. And I did. I read that it was a tourist destination. A lot of foreigners come here, and I didn't want to go to a tourist destination. I wanted to go to more of a Filipino city. Well, it is a destination for very good reason. It's centrally located in the north and south, centrally located in the central Visayas. You've got the large Luzon Island to the north. You've got the central Visayas, which consists of many different different islands, and then you have the Mindanao to the south, basically, and it's got uh, probably the best connected international airport after the Manila airport, NAIA. So you got the most direct flights in here. It's got a very good ferry system, and Davao City might be a little bit bigger than Cebu City, but because of its location, its ferry system is not as well set up to get directly to where you want to go. Put it that way, and it's much more spread out. But Davao City is, and I've watched a number of videos. I haven't been there, but I watched a number of videos there. Cebu City has the big malls. It's got the similar Costco. It's got SNR and Landers stores. Got a number of very large hardware stores. You can usually find, as far as availability, you can find things that you're looking for. It is what you can't find in the stores, you can order from Lazada. Now the downside is that it might take 5, 6, 7, 8 days to get something if you order it. Lazada is like a Amazon wannabe. They don't have their own warehouses for the most part. They're a logistics center. They send the order to the company, which orders the delivery people, different companies, to ship it around and get it to you. And a lot of stuff goes by ferry here, so it takes a while to pick it up, package it, take it to the ferry, for the ferry to get to a port or two, and finally get delivered to you. The Cebu City is pretty well protected from typhoons, although 2013 there was a big one off of Bohol Island that affected a couple buildings over here in Cebu City. But I've looked at the historic data for earthquakes, and it's pretty much devoid of earthquakes right in the direct vicinity over 100 years. And as far as typhoons, earthquakes and typhoons, pretty well protected in that respect. Relatively, you can live in the higher places. You can find houses, very nice houses for rent for over 100,000 pesos per month. But you can also still find, inflation has taken its toll, and new condominiums going up there. City Clow, I've done videos at their showrooms. 3 condominium towers, 1 commercial tower, not so far from the uptown area, pretty close to Mango Avenue. And there are lots of options over on Mactan Island. You've got a number of good hospitals here. You've got the transportation system. You've got the taxis and the airlines and the ferries and the buses and jeepneys, if you want to go that route as well. Indiana Condotel. Condotel is where you own the condo, but they manage the renting out of that, and you share in the revenue, I guess. And the 10 years I've lived here, I've seen the area evolve. A lot of new condominiums. You've got a couple of major business parks. You've got IT Park, which is a city within a city, I often describe it. You've got commercial buildings and condo buildings and hotels, and you've got a mall there now, an Ayala Mall there. And a number of years ago, one of my subscribers says he never walked outside the park. If he went any place, he got in a taxi and went to his destination. He was afraid to walk outside the park, in my opinion. I walk a lot in lots of different areas. I don't suggest everybody do that. As you can see, the sidewalks here can be a little bit of an obstacle course. But and then you have Cebu Business Park, which is Ayala in the I'm about a 30-minute walk. In fact, that's where I'm walking here today. The downside, I would say, is the infrastructure. It's evolving. It's getting better. I rarely get a electricity cut off, and if it is, usually for less than an hour. Place I live has a 100% backup generator. Usually kicks in almost immediately. Internet is pretty reliable, and I've done other videos about internet. That's been evolving, getting better and better over the years as well. I saw a city planning map, I don't know, from 100 years ago or something like that, and it was a good city plan with radiating out streets and highways, but that was never followed. It seems like there was very little city planning in the end, and because of that, you'll have a condominium right in the middle of poor area or right in the middle of industrial area, and not that conveniently located. And noise pollution is an issue here in the Philippines, and because of that, you might be surrounded by a lot of noise, depending upon where you choose to live.
Many houses back there, huh?
Now, if you want to get away from the noise, live in the best option, not the only option, but the best options are to go into one of these business parks and not be facing the poor areas. I had a subscriber some years ago said he was in Calix, in IT Park condominium, and he was facing the poorer area, and he would hear the dogs and the loud motorbikes and the roosters and the fiestas and the karaoke. And yeah, there's some weeks that I've got karaoke going almost all day, every day in the background where I live. Because there is a barangay hall. Barangay is the smallest political unit, kind of a village within a town or city, and there's a barangay hall. And apparently, they open up. They've got karaoke as part of their services to the citizens, and it's open air. They're not inside of a they're inside of a building, but it's all pretty much open air, and so that I'm 2 blocks away, and that sound travels. Manila, Makati, BGC, Bonifacio Global City, which is in Taguig town city. They're in the metropolitan Manila area, and there's an option right there. They've got rooms to rent out if you're on the low end.
Hello.
Went in there and looked in there many years ago. Um, it's not for me. I've lived in Minneapolis, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in Phoenix, Arizona, and several cities there. That area, Las Vegas, Nevada, Los Angeles, Orange County area, and Los Angeles too big. I kind of enjoyed my time there, but I moved my business out of there just because of the over-regulation, and just made doing business so difficult there. Moved to Vegas. But anyway, if you want a more metropolitan area, if you want a cleaner, upscale, vibrant type area, here in the Philippines, you pretty much have to go to those areas. Manila metropolitan areas consists of many cities, just like Los Angeles or Minneapolis or Atlanta. There's many other cities around that area, so a lot of options. I know many of my subscribers live in the different towns and cities up in that area. But yeah, if you want that clean, vibrant, where you're not surrounded by poverty and to some degree pollution, you need to go. Those are a couple of your options. There are other options up there as well, but those are the big ones. And
Travel me.
I've done videos about how the real estate market up there. They've got, like, according to some of the big property developers and management companies, they've got like an 8-year oversupply of condominiums and prices have been dropping. Rents as well as sales prices have been dropping, especially on the secondary market. Developers aren't real keen on dropping it, but they're offering discounts, longer payment terms, letting you move in with a lot less equity in the property, number of different things like that. Rents in some areas have dropped by as much as 50%, according to one top property developer down there. So that's an option. You have some of your top hospitals up there. Of course, you got your airport. You're not very far from Angeles, Subic Bay area, uh, Baguio up in the mountains. You can get up in the mountains. It's not too difficult. Traffic is a big downside. They've been building more and more freeways, but traffic is still a major issue in the metropolitan Manila area. But you got your huge malls. What other downsides and upsides are to those areas? I know there are a number of subscribers live in the Batangas area, south from that area, and then you're getting pretty close to Taal volcano, which a few years ago went off, spread some ash across even up into the Manila area. So those types of things are a concern. Iloilo City, and I want to make a generalization. I think the population of these cities changes drastically during the day as people from the provinces come in, do their business, and then go back home, or they might stay a few days, and so it's difficult to count. But anyway, about half the size of Cebu City, and I spent just a couple days there, but I have watched quite a number of videos and read about the city. My experience there is that it's a cleaner, quieter city uh, than Cebu City. Now the language is different in Cebu. In the Central Visayas, in general, you people speak Bisaya language, and they're not real keen on. Most of them are not real keen on Tagalog, the Filipino, the national language. But over there, it's Ilonggo or Tagalog, Filipino, and another look at City Cloud condominiums over there. Um, that would be a concern because my girlfriend speaks Bisaya, although she said she's pretty good with languages. She thinks she would pick it up very quickly, and she's open to living in an area like that. But they've got business districts. They've got the call centers there have spread out, so they've got an areas where they've got malls, and they're surrounded by condominiums around those malls, a bit of a business park, and yeah, quite new. And you have those newer areas, and then of course you have the poorer areas. Now, I had a friend, one of the first friends I met, subscribers that came here to Cebu City, lived here for a while. Then I think he went to Dumaguete, then to Iloilo, and he didn't like Iloilo, but he said he lived in one of the poorer areas, and so that had something to do with it. And he ended up moving. And Iloilo's on Panay Island, and he moved up to the north, Rojas City. I think he's still in Rojas City on the north end, and he kind of likes it up there. You've got taxis there, you've got jeepneys, you've got buses, you've got ferries out of there. There again, because of its location, it doesn't have as good of a ferry network as you have here in Cebu City, but pretty good setup. You've got your hospitals, your colleges, and I think they call their airport International Airport, but you don't have very many direct international flights like you do have in Cebu City, for instance. And you might have to, if you want to go someplace domestically within the Philippines, you might have to take a flight from there, from Iloilo to Manila, have a layover, and then fly to For instance, Cebu City, something like that. And that's an evolving situation. These airlines, they've been adding flights domestically to different cities and towns, so you would just have to check if you decide to go there. Spionata, right in front of me there, that's four towers basically connected in the middle. Spionata condominiums, and I almost rented there right before the lockdowns, the pandemic. And the Filipino lady lived in the U.S. She would not negotiate at all. It wasn't a bad unit, but wasn't really very well furnished. And I lived in that kind of white building right there. I moved over there, Queensland Manor, and instead lived there for about a year. And yeah, she wouldn't negotiate, so I went elsewhere, and I think it probably sat empty for the next 2.5, 3 years probably. But anyway, there are options, and this turned out to be a noisy area. Just right next to Spionata, there's a house, and they've got like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 dogs that just constantly barking. And one of the reasons, even I would hear them from my balcony and condo in Queensland Manor down the street. And eventually I moved because of the noise there. Plus, Queensland Manor they had a bar on the third floor, and it was open. They had open deck area, and they would crank up the music, and it'd come right up into my condominium, and you just can't get away from it. One thing I really like about Iloilo is not very far from that commercial residential area with the business area, clean business area with condominiums. Not very far from there is a river, and they've developed a real nice walking. You can see some of the obstacles in the sidewalk. Real nice walking and biking, jogging trail along that river. Really nice. Cebu City, they've got the coast of the sea, and you would think years ago they would have thought to plan a boardwalk, big boardwalk, and now we have Mandani Bay, going to be like, I don't know, 12 or 20 different buildings along the sea down there. They're going to have a boardwalk, but a little bit disappointed that Cebu City has not built a clean boardwalk down there. What we have is kind of a toilet down in the poor area of Cebu City, and people use that rocky area along the sea as their bathroom. Bacolod City, over on Negros Island, which is right next to Cebu Island, and easy to get over there. Just like Iloilo City, I've been to Bacolod once, and yeah, interesting city. They've got their malls, and there again, it's about half as big as Cebu City, population-wise. Um, Close to you've got mountains and you've got the sea right there, so you can go and enjoy either one. And so yeah, I think more and more expats are going, because there are vloggers in Iloilo City and Bacolod City and showing the different sites. You're seeing more and more expats going in those directions. Although I think Cebu City has the biggest draw, just because of the so many advantages here in Cebu City. You've got an airport there in Bacolod. You've got taxis. I know when I got off, I took a bus originally from Cebu City, and the bus got on the ferry, and we went across to Negros Island and up and around, and let me off. There were taxis there at the airport, and I was able to get a taxi right away. It took me where I wanted to go. So you have taxis, you have buses, you have jeepneys, hobbles, which are motorbike taxis, and tricycles. You have all that type of thing pretty much anywhere. And V-hires, vans for hire. You have vans, like 12 to 15 passenger vans. They really pack people in those, and It's not the most comfortable ride. Unlike some of the buses you might be air conditioned, you might be not air conditioned. So be aware of that if you're going to get on a bus. But the vans are usually air conditioned. But yeah, they pack them in so tight that it can be very uncomfortable riding. James over there in Bacolod, he's lived there quite a number of years. I met him when he did a stop over in and at the Cebu Mactan airport a couple different times. Had lunch with him, and so yeah, can you tell us a little more about Bacolod in the comments? And for all of you listening, the comments are oftentimes a good place to get additional information as well. Dumaguete City, very popular with expats. About one quarter, about one fourth the size of Cebu City, I think population wise. I'm generalizing, um, so about half as big as Iloilo and Bacolod City. When I looked at population numbers, different data that I've seen over the years, but very popular. I know before I came here, I used to subscribe to, I don't know, 15 years ago, 12 years ago, to Money Magazine in the USA, and they had a rating, best retirement destinations, and Dumaguete was in the top 10. And they've been rated pretty high in other publications, I think, over the years. Um, they've got the ferry service. Interestingly enough, they don't have taxis. Still, they do not have taxis in Dumaguete. So you're going to use the plane. They've got an airport there, but there again, you're not going to get a lot of. I think they have direct flights from Cebu City over to Dumaguete at least a couple times a week. I think they fill up very fast, so you have to book in advance. But most of your flights would probably go to Manila with a layover there, and then to Cebu, or then to whatever other place you want to go. But they have buses, and there again, the buses, you get on a bus, takes you to a port, the bus and you get on the ferry, you go across to the next island, and the bus continues on its way. For instance, what could be a 30-minute flight turns into a 6 hour. I think my ferry trip was 6 hours to get from Cebu City to Dumaguete. So Dumaguete has some malls and hospitals and colleges. They've got some government services there. The immigration office is relatively small, and for some things, they're like a satellite office, I think. And for some things, you have to come to Cebu City or Manila to get certain higher end things processed, is my understanding. And even Cebu City can process just about everything, but even there are a few of the more complex, higher end type things that you need to be processed through Manila. And I use JRC Visa Consultancy and Immigration Services. They've got offices in Dumaguete, right next to the immigration, in Cebu City, next to Ayala Mall, and in Manila. And they can get things processed in Manila. They can expedite that type of thing. So much easier to let the experts handle it. Dumaguete has a nice ocean boardwalk type area. In fact, they have reclaimed a big part of the sea, not a big part, a portion of the sea, and made a huge park right near the downtown area. Very nice. Big events go on down there. And yeah, I've been there 4 or 5 different times, and a new appreciation. You can go up in the mountains. Mountains very, very nearby. You can go up there. They have hot springs. It's cooler up there. People live up around Valencia, a town up there in the mountains. Cooler up there. A lot of times you don't even need air conditioning. So that's an option. One person said, yeah, there's so many foreigners here that all the girls on the dating sites, they just get handed from from one expat to the next expat to the next expat. I don't know how true that is, but with the smaller population. over the we're in Cebu Business Park entering here, the Solanea condominiums there. They've got, I think, 4 or 5 towers occupied now. Big, nice pool area. I've done videos there. Commercial buildings there, and within a few years, all this open area, no doubt, will be built up with more commercial buildings or condominiums. I don't think Dumaguete has the Costco type stores, the membership stores like uh, S&R or Landers. Don't think they have those stores there yet. I may be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, Cebu Business Park, they've got their own law enforcement. They've got their traffic enforcers, and they can issue citations. They can arrest people for various crimes. It's their own security force, just like they do in IT Park. Davao City down in Mindanao. Have not been there. I've been to Surigao City, which is up in the northeast part of Mindanao. Yeah, that was an interesting experience. I could live any place and adapt to any place. Uh, Mayor Duterte, many years ago, who became President Duterte, had a very strict policy, and it is known as a safe city. It's known as a clean city. Even smoking, spitting, or throwing your cigarette on the ground is an offense. A citation may be given for those types of things. I don't know. I haven't been there. I have watched a number of videos by people. One American, I think he's a lawyer in the U.S., but he's lived down there, done a number of quite good videos going around describing the different areas. It is in Mindanao, which is kind of on the State Department's list of be cautious areas. And I know when I went down there, we went around kind of that northeast Mindanao area. I was with a Filipina, and we went to see some number of different waterfalls and different things around that general northeast Mindanao area. And more often you would see checkpoints, soldiers behind sandbags, stopping buses and cars and checking them for terrorists. Quite a number of years ago, many years ago, there was a bombing in I think it was a church or a shopping center. I forget, someplace down in the city down there. But anyway, pretty safe, and modern city. As I stated earlier, the airlines, you don't have as many direct flights, international direct flights or domestic flights out of there as you do out of Cebu City, which is centrally located in the Philippines. But it is an option. Also, the ferry service is what I've been told by a number of people, is not as expansive as it is here because Cebu City is so centrally located. They've got ferries going every direction virtually. You can get anywhere. CDO, or Cagayan de Oro, on the north end of Mindanao. I have not been there. I was going to go there right before the government lockdowns. And Lucima condominiums, new upscale, expensive condominiums being built right across the street from Ayala, right across from the Solanea and Park Point there, condominiums. But CDO would be on my list. I've watched enough videos, I've read enough about it that it seems like an interesting city, and it is. I believe it's a little smaller than Dumaguete, and probably doesn't have nearly as many expats living down there. Just a little bit south of there, you got Bukidnon, which is somewhat popular with expats. The town and the town and the province have both the same name, and you get up into the mountains, and you don't want to go too far into those mountains You've got the NPA, the armed wing of the Communist Party. There was an article just the other day. They had a shootout out there, killed a couple of communists, I guess. But like any place, years ago, I had a salesman working for me in the scaffold business, and he was from Missouri, in the middle of the USA, and he said, in Missouri, if you don't know what's down a country road, you don't want to go down that road up in the mountains, kind of mountainous
Good
area,
afternoon.
because there's people making moonshine, illegal alcohol, or growing illegal drugs, and they'll the first time they shoot at you, they'll miss as a warning shot, but the next shot probably won't be a warning shot. And you in some areas of the Philippines, most areas are very safe, especially tourist areas. But there are some areas like Bukidnon and other areas that are what they call, remote areas, basically, where the communists kind of hang out and extort funds from the people and the companies. Um, you need to ask the locals if it's safe to go into some of those areas. Just a quick story. There's a couple subscribers who used to comment quite a bit, and they built a house up in Bukidnon, uh, Mindanao, just south of CDO, number of years ago. And I think they shipped one or two containers of their personal stuff, tools, and I'm not sure what all, furniture, that type of thing, I think. And anyway, several years ago, I did a video called "How Much Does It Cost to Build a House?" Got a lot of views, and anyway, they looked at the numbers and they said it cost substantially more for them, and the big reason was because of the transportation, because a lot of the stuff had to be transported. They were a little bit of ways up into the mountains, and some of those winding roads, and getting the stuff on ferries out of maybe Luzon and bringing it all the way down to Mindanao and then up into the mountains, it costs more because of the transportation. So keep that in mind. Baguio City, Philippines, and I didn't think this video was going to be this long, so I had some additional walking video, and I backed up, and this is
Down south hostel.
this is this is back where I was still walking towards the mall there. Anyway, Baguio City, up in the mountains north of metropolitan Manila area, and it is a mountain town of universities and resorts called City of Pines. They used to call it the summer capital because it's cooler up there. In fact, just checking the temperature, about 20 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Close there, not exact. And yeah, they've got. I think the airport is open up there again. It had been closed for renovations for a time, but I think it's been open for quite a while now, so you can fly in there. Used to be a real winding, kind of dangerous road driving up in there through the mountains, but I think they have improved that road substantially in the last few years as well, is what I've read. Elevation 1,540 meters. You're getting pretty close to right around 5,000 feet. Of course, it's a mountainous area, so it depends on where you're standing. Elevation will change a little bit, but yeah, it's cooler up there. Overcrowded, a lot more people there than it was planned for, but that's about the same with every city in the Philippines, every city in so many cities in the world, for that matter. A lot of tourists go up there for a number of reasons. And I don't know much else about it. I watched videos about it. I've got a couple subscribers saying they don't like the heat. They're going to move up to Baguio. Would it be considered something like Prescott, Arizona? They aren't going to get snow, although it does get down to the, I think I saw, even with the lowest temperature I saw, 9 degrees centigrade, something like that. Yeah, 9 degrees, I think I saw sometime in the past year, that would be about 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Brr! And The other day I saw it got down to 14 degrees. 14 degrees,
Which
about
service do you
58
work for?
degrees,
Who do you
58
deliver for?
degrees Fahrenheit. Package delivery guys,
Okay.
they'll be
Did they
coming
pay
in
you
cars or vans
wage or
or
from your
motorbike, your little
parcel?
packages
My
if you
parcel?
order online here in the Philippines. And yeah, he
Both.
gets a salary
Okay.
plus,
So you
and he'll
very
do
rich man.
148 parcels this particular day.
Good job? Good
Angeles
job, fella.
City, Subic Bay,
How
and
many cars?
mention a couple others here
How many cars will
before
take
I
you?
end this video.
145?
Angeles City is kind of, they've got their bar district, their girly bars and their bars and the massage places and all that type of thing. Something that Cebu City, all these other towns don't really have. These other towns have, they might have one or two or three different kind of mini red light districts where girls or ladyboys hang out. But Angeles City is kind of known for having a big, at least one street, one district up there, kind of dedicated to that type of thing. And so if that's what you're looking for, a lot of the foreigners I've known, they've been there, but it's not a place they would want to live. There's been a vlogger or two up there who have lived up there long term. One, I think, Philly in the Philippines, he moved out of
Land
there. His
bank.
wife got robbed at knife point, and he said, "We're moving." They moved down. Where'd they go to? Surigao Island, I think. And now he's living majorly. He's living the province life, and there's definitely pros and cons to living in the province. What you lose in convenience and infrastructure. But anyway, if you know more about, I lived in Vegas for many, many, many years, but it was just another town to me. I wasn't. I had friends that gambled, always ahead, but never had any money. I'm not a gambler, and towns like that attract a certain type of individual. I'm not saying good or bad, just like Vegas, a lot of con people, a lot of people who have criminal type minds. So you have to be a little more careful around those kind of areas, in my opinion. Subic Bay, the U.S. military had bases there. They're here again. I think they're starting up a base there. Different kind of city, and there was a vlogger up there doing a lot of real estate videos. I don't think he's doing that anymore. Um, there's a town, I think it's on Negros Bay, Bayawan. It's on the west side. There was a vlogger or two who've done videos over there. It's big enough city, but small enough, kind of how it was described. It has a lot of things that you might want if you want a smaller city, town type atmosphere. There's hundreds of other towns and provinces and villages, and what you're you might lack in infrastructure, you might lack in availability of goods that you want. So anyway, looking forward to your comments. What do you suggest? Where do you want to live? See you in the next video. Safe travels.